Hello, little friends. Welcome to the Sabbath School Study for Minors. This week's lesson is titled Happy in My Church, with the memory verse. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers. Galatians 6:10. The message tells us, our church is a family of believers who care for each other. Now let's listen to the story of this week. Do you enjoy organizing things and people? It's a gift to have the ability to do so. The disciples had their hands full after Pentecost, with people losing their homes and jobs because of their faith. But they joined their efforts and everyone had food, clothing, and a place to live. Let's listen in on some conversations that might have taken place among the community of believers. After Pentecost, the number of believers in Jesus continued to grow. Everyone was amazed at the miracles the disciples performed. They listened fervently to their teachings. They spent a lot of time praying, praising, and studying together. Since they spent most of the day together, they shared their meals in their homes. Those who could sold their possessions to help people in need. For a while, even non-believers were impressed with the changes in their friends and family members. Believers became a popular group of people. Then the priests, elders, and other Jewish religious leaders who did not believe in Jesus began to get nervous. They thought the new followers of Jesus would grow tired of their meetings and prayer services. But instead, attendance at the synagogue, as well as the offerings collected by the Jews, decreased. Sneakily, those priests began to spread rumors about the followers of Jesus. Suddenly, divisions arose in families between believers and non-believers. Following Christ became more complicated for the new believers. The disciples decided it was time to do something. "Peter, we have a problem," said James, when the disciples gathered to organize daily work. "We have so many followers of Jesus." "That's wonderful," Peter interrupted. "Yes, it is," James agreed. "But that doesn't mean we don't have a problem. Many of the new believers have been kicked out of their homes by their families. They have nowhere to go." "James is right," John chimed in. "And many parents have lost their jobs, so they have nothing to support their families." "We have to find some way to help them," Peter said. "Does anyone have any ideas?" "Why don't we put out a general announcement?" suggested Matthias. "We can get everyone to contribute what they can to help those who don't have food, clothing, or a place to live." "Andrew, could you and Matthew organize this right away?" Peter asked. "We'll need a list of what has been donated so we know what we have to distribute." In just a few days, Andrew and Matthew contacted other believers. They had plenty of things for the people, but now they needed help to distribute them. They decided to ask some people to dedicate time to help them with this. Soon, the volunteers were ready to start working. Some volunteers wanted to help because they wanted to give back for the food and shelter they had been provided. Others helped because they loved God and His people. Some had donated a place in their home for the volunteers to work and start processing the donations they received. After finishing the distribution each day, Andrew and Matthew met with the volunteers to discuss how things had gone. "I have a concern," said one of the volunteers. "I know of some people who haven't received help. Some haven't come to get what they need." "Why do you think that's happening?" Andrew asked. "Some are too old to come and pick up things and take them home," the volunteer replied. "Others are ashamed to come and take things without paying for them." "It seems we're going to need help with home deliveries," said Matthew. "We can assign some of you to do that." Gathering the small group around them, Andrew said, "As you go out to deliver the food, I want you to be on the lookout to see if there are still others who aren't being helped. Also, if you see any needy families that we don't have on the list, let us know, added Matthew. We'll try to get something for them. Soon, all the followers of Christ had everything they needed: food, shelter, clothing. With these needs met, the new believers were free to share the good news of the gospel with others. One morning, Andrew and Matthew reported that some of the followers of Jesus had sold their properties and donated the money to the community of believers. Others were planning to contribute in the same way. Barnabas, who was from another country, sold his properties and traveled to Jerusalem to give the apostles the money he had received. Now I see why Jesus commanded us to take care of our neighbor as much as we care for ourselves, said Matthew. The apostles and other believers were happy and grateful for the abundance of love. All of this made them want to love and serve God and others even more. If you want to know more details, look in your Bible at the citation Acts 4:32-36. You can also find more in the Acts of the Apostles in chapter 7, pages 55 and 56. Support this content by sharing and subscribing to the channel. May God bless you abundantly. See you next week.